Welcome back to the Rugby League, in my opinion, quiz, where we quiz fans, we quiz players, coaches, whoever on their club's history. And today we have a Titans fan in the house. He's not only a Titans fan, he is, I'd say, one of Australian sport's biggest sporting live streamers, at least the biggest one I know. So I don't care about any of the others. He's the biggest I know. He is BKR Sport, one of the most passionate Titans fans I have seen. Blaze, how are you today?
Yeah, going all right, man. Obviously, it's the off season right now, so kind of just cracking on. And I do all different sports, but man, I miss obviously the Titans. They're starting to look good, mate. So hopefully we can get cracking again next season.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed from my end as well. Just looking at
Yeah.
the scoreboard here now, the highest score we've gotten is 7 out of 10. The lowest score is 4 out of 10. So not too much room in between, I should say. Now, as has been said, you're a Titans fan. How do you rate your Titans knowledge? And do you think there is a chance that you could take top spot here, or a real chance that you could take bottom spot?
I think it's a bit of, booking not las dos, a bit of both, like I wouldn't be, I think I definitely know my Titans knowledge to an extent. Like obviously I went to pretty much or every home game from I think 2008 through till 2018.
Yeah.
And then I went to Chicago, so I wasn't able to go to the first half, and then I came back in 2019 for the second half of a wooden spoon year. So I've definitely seen a lot of it live. And I've also obviously watched every single. Well, geez, okay. Well, my everything's coming down. But funnily enough, that was the Broncos wooden spoon poster of 2020. Yeah, look, I know my stuff, but in the same sense, stats can kind of mess with you sometimes,
Yeah.
and it does. Obviously, questions like this do put you on the spot too. So even though I definitely know my stuff, it can also kind of mess you around as well.
Yeah, well, I put just thinking while you're talking there, this came about because of a little bit of demand, I guess we'd say. I did put the question out. What was it, about a week ago now, for people to tag someone they knew who they would trust to get 10 out of 10 on a
Jeez,
rugby league quiz to save their life, and there were multiple people who tagged BKR Sport. So
my goodness me,
y- you've got some people, you've got some
pray for
expectations
them.
here. You've got some expectation. If it's not 10 out of 10, we can just thank the gods. Uh, um, People's lives aren't on the line here. But yeah, this is the first one where there's been that real bit of expectation from a few people heading into it. So, with that being said, are you ready for question one?
Yeah, what's the bet that I get wrong first question as well? Like out of all, just to like mess it up straight away. What's the bet? But no, I'm all right. I'm ready to go, man. And let's get this going.
Well, with this first one, you need a bit of prior knowledge to
Here
Titans
we go.
history.
Yeah.
Can you name two of the three club mascots the Gold Coast went by prior to the Titans? Now, I know that the Titans
Oh,
are indeed their own club, but I know certain people do like to link the Titans to
I would
the
have
other.
no idea, bro.
I think the other, I think the other franchise back in the day for all three clubs, I think, was still the same franchise. They just changed names a couple of times. I think I know at least one of them had a name change in there, but yeah. So you only need to name two of the three, and it's 0.5 points for each you get right.
Yeah, so obviously, man, I'm not a I'm not a Gold Coast fan from pre 2007. So
Yeah.
this question I would have absolutely zero idea about. I know I could name you nearly every single mascot that we've had in our history, which is Blade, Turbo. You could even say Clary, the house. I know the guys that were in those one. Clary, I can't remember the sponsorship. There's also the Sloth one that we've got now. But like I dead set. If I started naming from pre Titans days, I wouldn't have a clue because obviously that was when I was like what 3 years. I did Chargers were what 1999.
Well, you've got one. So it's not necessarily the mascot.
Oh, saying the actual name of the club.
I was gonna say moniker, but I was like, the mascot, the the animal, even though they're not all animals. Yeah, so I'm not. Don't worry, I'm not talking actual.
The actual mascot. That's why I was freaking out. I was like, "There's no way I'm going to know this." Like, I don't think anyone would.
Does anyone out there actually know the three mascots of
No.
the old Gold Coast teams? If you do, please let us know, because that'd be, yeah. Don't worry, I'm not throwing you that far. And I just want to know basically the names of the club. So yeah, the Chargers are one. You just need one more. Unfortunately, if you get all three, it's still just 1 point, but
Yeah.
you only need to.
Are the South Queensland Crushers included?
No, because they were their own team, and I think, well, you bring up the Chargers. I think they were in the comp at the same time as the Chargers. So that
Okay.
obviously.
Whoa. Yeah, I know. I just know that a lot of people think that that's also included. So I just wanted to throw that
Okay.
one out there. I
What
think they were
Wally
more so
Lewis
based
did
in
play
Ipswich, though. I think they were more so based in Ipswich.
okay. Well, Wally Lewis did play for one of these clubs
He
after.
played for was it the Giants? Or was it the Seagulls?
Well, you've named all three of them.
Well, there you
So you've
go.
but he played for them while they were the Seagulls. So at first, they were the Tweeds Head Gold Coast Giants.
Yeah.
Then I think they changed names to the Seagulls, and I'm not quite sure. But then I think that club folded, and then the Chargers started up. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was just another name.
It's a pretty random history prior to the Titans, man, back in the 90s and 80s and whatnot. So I don't even know if it was 80s. I think it was just 90s, and all three of those teams were there. But yeah, obviously Wally was there, but he was more of a QRL kind of guy, man. He wasn't even really Broncos realistically either,
I
just
agree.
Origin.
I agree. If you look back at this is another thing now, but if you look back at Broncos history, then you would have to say he's probably, in terms of playing for the club itself, a good player to start off with. However, I wouldn't necessarily put him as an all-time Broncos specific legend per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, 1 out of 10 so far. Well, 1 out of 1, I
See,
should.
well, so far people are surviving.
Well, second question: who was the Titans' first ever NRL match against? Now, you've said you've been to every game from 07 to 18, so I take it you were at this one.
Do you want me to pause for dramatic effect, or do you want me to nearly give you the scoreline of that game?
You can be as cocky, confident, or you can play the thinking card if you like. But honestly, I think
I was
people would be more impressed if you just chuck it out.
No, I know it's the Dragons. I know it's the Dragons in 2007. I think it was at Carrara. I actually don't know if it was at Carrara or Suncorp. I can't remember.
I think
But
the first one was Suncorp. I
yeah,
believe the first game itself was Suncorp.
I think it was 20-18 to the Dragons.
I know the Dragons won. I haven't got the exact score here, but yeah, the Dragons beat the Titans. I believe it was Suncorp, and then
Yeah.
hurrah for the rest of the
I,
year.
th- I I think I could be mistaken. It doesn't really matter because obviously it's not part of the question. But I think it was 2018. I know the Dragons definitely won, but I think it was probably 2018. It was a close game, but yeah, they got us.
Okay, third question. Speaking of stadiums, what was Cbus Super Stadium formerly known as? So I think this was up until the end of 2013, I want to say, or 2014.
Yeah, it was around 2012, 2013. It used to be Skill
Yeah,
Park.
correct. Skill Park. Some people called it, I remember back in the day, some people called it Skilled Stadium.
Yeah, it's
And
a bit of both, but like I
it's a
hated it
stadium.
when. What was that? Sorry.
It is a stadium, as in it's a fully, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
well, you
should
said,
never have been. It should never have been called Park, but in the same sense, that's what it was, Skill Park. I actually hated it. A lot of Titans fans hated it when we did change from Skill Park to Cbus Super Stadium because obviously
yeah.
that's a long name. But I love Cbus now. We just call it Cbus. It's easy.
I used to think at first growing up that the company was called Cbus, and they just decided to call the stadium the
Yeah,
Cbus
yeah,
Stadium, but it's Cbus Super
mm,
Stadium. I think that works well. That the Super Stadium.
yeah.
Yeah, hey,
Just
three
wish we
from
had a
three.
better winning percentage there. We used to, not anymore.
Well, at the moment, you have a pretty good winning percentage, 3 from 3.
Yep.
And now we are on to the next question. Okay, so the Titans have won 5 games in a row, 3 times: 2020, 2008, and in which other year?
So this will have to come down to a bit of educated guess here, but in the same sense, you'd have to. you'd have to go with this year. So I didn't actually realize 2020 we won 5 games in a row. To be completely honest with you,
Yeah, it was,
sorry, 2020 was it this year or it was last year, the end of the year, right?
yeah, the last 5 games, because I remember for a while I was
We were
I was
thinking we were still going to make
bragging.
the 8, yeah.
Well, I was bragging to mates after the season that the Titans still have currently the longest winning run in the NRL, right up until we lost to the Warriors in round 1 this year, but that doesn't matter. That's in the past. But yeah, so 2020, 2008, which is a bit of a surprise because we didn't make the 8 that year. The
We
Titans
still
didn't.
improved on 2007 though.
Yeah,
Like if you guys, I did a video on my channel called "How I Became a Gold Coast Titans Fan," like I do with all my different teams: Bulls, Cubs, City, Geelong, everyone. So I really started getting amongst the Titans 2009, 2010. Now, I've been I've been on the Gold Coast since they were around. But I know it wouldn't have been 2007 because that was obviously a very 50-50 year, first year that we came in. 2008, I didn't realize 5 in a row, but we definitely had a couple of good runs there. 2009, it's between 2009 and 2010 because don't even look at me 2011. And 2016, we were okay. I know we just made the finals, but we actually had to rely on the Tigers losing that final game. And oh boy, they did. They lost big time
correct.
to the Raiders.
They got flogged, didn't they?
Yeah, like 56-8 or something like
And
that at Leichhardt.
they were favourites to win in that game.
I
I
don't think they were because the Raiders were a good. What was that?
Oh, it's 2016. Sorry, yeah, 2016. Canberra nearly made the grand final. Sorry, my apologies. Canberra
Yeah,
definitely.
no, that was the year that the Sharks and the Raiders
Yeah.
they really had that big rivalry coming through Michael Ennis. But so 2016 we were good, but never good enough to have a 5-game win streak, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with 2010.
Correct. 2010. So 2008, 2010, and 2020, the Titans won 5 games in a row. I was thinking for this one, would it have been? Originally, I was going to go in 2020 and 2010. However, I thought that may have been a bit too hard because the obvious answer would have been 2009, and I don't think that
I
anyone.
actually would have been more confused between 2016 and 2008.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
2016, I definitely get that it came up in the thought because we obviously made the 8 that year. But yeah, 2008, 2010, and 2020. There we go. Another one. And I think this one's pretty much going to be just a fast one. Who was the Titans' first head coach?
Or John Cartwright.
John Cartwright. The great man.
He's actually got the best winning percentage by I think it's about 3%, but it's not much over Justin Holbrook, who's obviously just come in, but it's very close.
Yeah, and it's great to see Holbrook, as a Titans fan, getting that close to Cartwright's win percentage already after 2 years in the job. Promising signs for the future there. But
Absolutely.
The great John Cartwright, who obviously when he left, a few fans may have soured on him, but he's taken us to more final series than any other coach the Titans have had, and also the furthest that they've ever made in a competition. So I think he definitely.
We'll just jump in here before you go to the next question in regards to John Cartwright. The reason why people probably have a lesser opinion of him is because, yeah, look, great. We went improved from 2007, 2008, and then from 2008 to 2009, then 2009, 2010 prelim, and then bang, wooden spoon. So I think the people, and then obviously we were terrible for the next 5 years, 6 years. So I think the people will always remember that wooden spoon year because that was a tough year. That was a real tough year, especially to be going to all the games and whatnot. I saw a lot of people as fans, that I've met in 2010, 2009. I haven't seen them since 2011. That's when they dropped off. So I think that's why a lot of people would probably be looking at that John Cartwright and saying, yeah, he wasn't that great. But overall, that's for now because Chris Holbrook's going to be coming up and getting us some more finals wins.
That's it. Okay, now this one I thought maybe at a stretch I may have been able to get you because a lot of people forget one of the years, but we've actually already brought up this season once already. We brought it. So I think you're going to get the answer absolutely correct. How many times have the Titans made the finals?
Oh, this one might still get me though, because I know for a fact 2021, obviously. And then 2016, that's 2. 2010, obviously 3. Then you 2009's 4. I can't. Did we actually speak about 2008 just then? Because I don't. I know we. I think that it was only the floor. Did we make the 8 in 2008? I don't think we did. I think it was 2009 we got, because I think we just spoke about this, but I'm trying now. It's confusing me because we did speak about it, and I'm trying to figure out if we were just talking about if we made it or we didn't. So I definitely know that 2009, 2010, 2016, and 2021 should have been 2020, but bloody Sharkies, you don't even start me.
We got them back this year. All good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's a good point. Man, that's gonna scare me a little bit here. Because I'm on a perfect. I'm perfect right now. I'm
You are.
perfect.
Are you maybe overthinking it though?
I think I am, man. I think I am, because I
Because
know we got 5 wins in a row, but I swear you. I think you might have just said we didn't make it, which is confusing me. I swear you. I'm gonna stick with 4. If I lose this, and I'm gonna freak out, but I'm gonna stick with 4. I'm gonna say that we didn't make 2008, because I swear you just said that we didn't make it then.
You're
No, you're
correct.
tricking me. Yeah, I knew it. As soon as you did that, I was like, no, I got this. I got
So
this.
the one I was talking about that a lot of people seem to forget, that I've noticed anyways, 2016. I think a lot of
No, I
people.
remember that very frequently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As Titans fans, obviously we would, and that's the yeah. We end up just scraping in. We were on a bit of a run, sort of mid-season, but most people I speak to actually forget, because I remember before we made the 8 this year, they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys haven't made the top 8 in like 10 years." I was like, "No, there was 2016, and in the
And we
first
got
week of
robbed
the
by the
playoffs,
Broncos.
we should have beat Bruce. We should have
We
beat Bruce."
know Jared Sutton. I will never forgive Jared Sutton. I will never, ever, ever forgive that man for refereeing that game. That first half, we were up 18-16 or 18-14 or something like that. And then obviously we ended up losing like 34-22 or 34-24. But we had that game if it wasn't for Jared Sutton. But, whatever. We move on.
I'm not gonna say anything else on the topic other than this. I believe that is the game where the hashtag penalty Broncos meme came
Probably.
from. I think that's the game where it all started. But
Funnily enough, man, I actually remember that year better than 2010. And I went to the Warriors game and I went to the Roosters game.
yeah,
I was at Suncorp when we got fairly beaten by the Roosters, but like I remember getting treated horrifically by the Suncorp Stadium like staff, because Titans were a big rival to the Broncos, and we got treated horrifically. Roosters were allowed everything in, we weren't allowed anything in. So
really.
yeah, no, it was ridiculous. You go and have a look. We weren't allowed our drum in. We weren't allowed any flags in. We weren't allowed anything. We weren't allowed to stand up. And then you look at the Roosters fans over in the corner, because we were the home team for that game, mind you. And the Roosters had their flags and their drums and their bloody everything. So I'll never forgive the Broncos for that, and I'll also never forgive the Broncos for 2016. But at least they like, obviously we, as we've seen recently, we do have this poster that is a nice little beautiful one there. But yeah, let's go.
Well, people like to say that the Broncos don't necessarily care about the rivalry with the Titans, but if even back in 2010 the
Sure.
stuff like that, and hey, I know I'm speaking as a Titans fan here. Usually I'm unbiased, but hey, how have the last couple of years been? Anyway, but we'll move on now to who has scored the most points in a game for the Titans. I should say as well, by the way, you're currently 5 from 5.
Yeah. So I'm already not last, right? What's the
Sorry,
last point score? I think I'm 6 from
sorry.
6, aren't I?
6. Yeah, I accidentally didn't count one. How dare I? 6 from 6. So if you get this right, you're tied first.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty certain that I think it's Scott Prince against the Tigers in 2008 with 20 points.
Well,
But I'm
actually, it was Scott Prince against the Tigers with 20 points in 2009.
I was close.
You
So I
still
got
got
the correct answer, but like I was close in regards to the year too.
yeah. I was just being an idiot there, but yes, okay, that is insane. 7
Yeah, that
from
was pretty
7.
good, because obviously he played for the Tigers originally
Yeah,
and then came to the Titans. So I like it. It could have kind of confused me a little bit, because I remember it wasn't Jordan Ray, it was Jordan Atkins who scored like 4 tries in a game for us. So I was starting to think like it could be Jordan Atkins, but then I realized no, Scott Prince. I think he scored a try in that game, plus also obviously he was kicking for us back then.
okay. Well, one more correct answer, and you're outright first.
Okay.
3 questions to go. You still
Yeah.
can get 100%. However, I think because I think the next 2 questions you should get right. but this one I think could be the one that gets you. And it's
Okay.
also a two-parter, so 0.5 for each part you get correct. Who have the Titans beaten 6 times? Now, I've taken this one in particular because these are the two teams that the Titans have beaten the least.
Okay, well, it's definitely the Tigers then, because we have a very good winning percentage against them. And it's definitely not the Eels, because we also have a very good winning percentage against them. The two teams that automatically come to mind, and I'm not putting this as in my final answers, so buddy, relax. I'm just kind of rattling through here.
Okay?
Okay. No, I would
Yeah,
say,
fine.
pardon?
No, I said, yeah, you're fine to. You're allowed to think
Okay,
out loud.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
prepared to
yeah.
answer.
Yeah, well, I would say the Storm are one of them, but I know we've got a. I would say the Storm are probably one, because I think we're like 6-14 against them or something like that, 6-15 or something like that. We're not good against the Storm, but it could also be the Warriors, because I know that the Warriors, we have a massive, besides the game that we beat them 44-0, don't forget that. And the reason why I'll never, ever let the Warriors forget that is because they were dirty in that game. So I'll always remind you how dirty you were in that game. But I like the Warriors, but just in regards to that game, don't at me. We went on a stretch throughout the last 10 years of, I think we beat the Warriors twice. And that was, or 3 times. Maybe 2020, 2021. I'm going to say one of them is the Warriors. Is that correct?
Is that an answer you're locking in? Because I'm able, if you'd like, to give you, because you've been so great so far, I will give you a hint as to one of the teams. If it's up to you.
No, because I'm pretty happy to die by the sword here, because I know I'm already at least tied first. Actually, no, that someone's on 7.5 in there, or is it just 7?
7, just 7. So
Okay, so no matter what, I'm tied first anyway. I've still got 2 questions to go here too. So, could be the Rabbitohs actually. Um. Oh, this is a really tough one. This is probably the best one you've gotten so far, because this is obviously like an exact amount of times. It's not. We might have had a good record against the Warriors in the late 2000s, but in the same sense, like
I want to give you a hint that'll make the stakes really hard and maybe put you under a lot of pressure if you're willing to take it, again, just because you've been so good so far, but
all right,
it
I'll do it.
might make you overthink it. So
No, it's all right.
you've named 3 teams:
Yeah,
the Melbourne Storm, the New Zealand Warriors, and the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
yeah.
2 of those teams are indeed correct.
Oh, that's at least I'm going to get 0.5 here. Then that's the main. That's
You
the
will
thought
get point 5.
process.
So you're first. However, for full scores and the chance at 10 out of 10, I feel like maybe that's maybe put a bit of more pressure on you now, because you might think, because now you know that, yeah, 2 of the teams you've said in your thought process are indeed correct.
Just remember that for everyone listening, that I was at least close either way. All right. Well, so that we're not here forever, I'm going to have to lock in 2. So either way, I'll get 0.5. I really want to go the Warriors, but I have a feeling it's either one above or one below there. I'm going to go Storm and Rabbitohs here, but in the same sense, I am kind of overthinking it. Like, I really do want to say the Warriors, but I'll go Rabbitohs and I'll go Storm.
So the Storm,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Oh no, it's gonna be the Warriors, isn't it?
And the Rabbitohs.
Oh my god, I actually smacked it. There you go. Look at me fly.
What actually made you think of the Rabbitohs? Because I thought straight away you'd get Melbourne, which you did, and you thought about the Warriors for a bit. And my original hint was going to be that they were a Sydney-based club, because honestly,
I would have got that quickly.
because
Yeah.
I wouldn't have really guessed the Rabbitohs myself, if not for my research. I would have said Melbourne, and then I don't know, maybe the Roosters, for example. But I
Oh,
wasn't
I think
thinking I wasn't thinking like South Sydney would not have come into my thought process at all. So how did you think of Souths?
we don't have a terrible record against the Roosters, funnily enough. We're usually, it's not 50-50, but it's like we have a better record than most teams that we have against
Yeah.
with them. I would say because Cowboys is relatively 50-50. They went on a pretty good run against us when they had Thurston, but like we still had a pretty okay run against them. Broncos, I don't believe we have a good record against, especially throughout those 2011 to 2016 kind of years, 2017. Obviously, our biggest loss ever was 54-0 to them. I remember that game. I'll never forget that game. There's a vlog on my channel, BKR Sport, if you want to go and check it out, me crying. I think that it was just kind of a process of elimination because I know we've got a good record against the Tigers, the Eels. I know it's a pretty okay record against the Sharks. Manly is not terrible, but not great. You know, they definitely have a winning percentage over us. So yeah, we don't really win a great deal against the Rabbitohs. So yeah, that's why process elimination.
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring that up because when I was doing my research for the quiz with the shirtless Titans fan, I came across this as well, and I don't think I actually included this in the question, or maybe I did, but I think now, off the top of my head, I think the Titans have beaten the Tigers more than anyone else,
Yeah,
and then it's either
Eels.
Newcastle or the Cowboys and those three. I
I
think
think it's the
Newcastle.
Tigers and the Eels.
Okay, yeah. I know
Because
Newcastle's up there as well, sort of.
mm,
They are one of the teams I think that the Titans have beaten more than they've lost to. That's why I think,
I
yeah,
would, if I was to make an
I
educated
guess
guess, I
definitely.
would say Tigers, Eels, Knights, yes, and then Tigers, Eels, Knights, Cowboys is kind of where I would start to go. Then maybe the Sharks, but that's just then kind of guessing. Yeah.
But anyway, they're losers to the Titans at least. You're a winner, and so are these two teams, unfortunately.
Outright first. Look at me go. Outright first
Outright
already.
outright first and an opportunity to never be topped unless for whatever reason I decide to do a quiz with 11 questions one time. How many current Titans players have played in over 100 games for the club?
Okay, so let's do the process of elimination. AJ Brimson, I don't think he would have been there long enough for that. Corey Thompson, don't even like he's obviously Tigers from just before 2019. Now I've got to remember who's all our players because obviously I'm not in the rugby league mindset right now.
I,
It's
I
not
will
Fafita, obviously. Go on.
I'll say this: you need to sort of also with this question understand sort of the year to year. I guess this may sound weird, but certain dates things happen in the NRL to get this one correct, and I'll explain it after you give your answer.
This is a tough one. I don't know why you thought this was going to be an easier one than the last one. I thought the last one was actually a lot easier than this one. But in the same sense, I think I could kind of eliminate it because this isn't including anyone like, Jamal Fogarty or anything because obviously he's not with the club anymore, right?
Correct. It doesn't include Jamal Fogarty, who's no longer with the club.
Did you actually originally have him in there? Just out of curiosity? Okay.
No,
I didn't know if I just caught you out on something. I just wanted
no,
to.
there is some. I'm not actually. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to explain everything after you give your final answer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no. Jared Wallace does come to mind as someone who could potentially be up there. I can't remember when he came from the Broncos, but he could definitely be up there. Tino's out, Fafita's out. Oh man, I can't even think. Like now that I'm on spot, trying to think. Brian Kelly, he used to play for us back in the day, then went to Manly, and now he's come back. It's not Phillips, because I don't know how deep this is going to. Who's our big front rowers there? So, man, it's not any of our hookers, Aaron Clark, Mitch Rain, or anyone like that. Oh man, this is actually really tough. I'm struggling to think of the actual players on the team. Because for some reason my brain just won't stop going over Jared Wallace. But it's like I just think that he could have come in like 2018 or something like that, and I don't think that gives you enough time. And Ash Taylor's obviously at the Warriors. He would have been there. He would have. But Ash Taylor is now at the Warriors.
He would have
Yeah.
been.
It couldn't be AJ Brimson. He's too. Michael Gordon was up until I think 2018. So that would kind of even 2017. So that would kind of wipe out AJ Brimson because there's not literally not enough games that he could have had for 100. My goodness me. So if I'm gonna make it wouldn't be many though, man. It wouldn't be many. If anything, it's probably not more than two, I'd say it's not more than two. But I think this is where you're going to get me, man. I'm going to lock in two here on an educated guess, but I don't think there's many there.
And who would be the two that you're thinking of?
Will this make me wrong if I do? Because he
I,
said how
I,
many?
I
He says how many current.
correct. I was just out of curiosity.
I would potentially say Jared Wallace, obviously, because I just can't stop thinking for some reason. And then I can't actually think of another player to give you, man. I just maybe Brian Kelly, but in the same sense, I don't know how many games he actually played for us back in the day. So, but they were the two people that I'd probably consider. And then there's maybe someone else to make it three. But overall, they're the only guys I can think of on the spot right now that I could even think about in that regard.
Okay, so you locked it in too?
Yeah, I'll lock it in, man. Even if it's wrong, I've done well.
Okay, so the answer is one, and
Oh, pain.
I think you are going to be hitting yourself because the reason as to why you couldn't think of any other player other than Jared Wallace
It's because
is
it's only Jared Buddy Wallace.
only Jared Wallace and he's played 103 games for the Titans since
Yep.
debuting in 2017. Now here's what I was talking about before, and you didn't fall into the potential trap that I set for you. So technically the new NRL year and the official sort of roster changeover comes November 1st when the free agents for the next year open up and they're able to negotiate with rival clubs. That's when the official change happens, and obviously it's after November 1st. So if we'd done this quiz before November 1st,
Would have been
then
three.
well, it would have been two. Oh, it would have been three.
Ash
Sorry,
Taylor and Jamal Fogarty, right?
Ash Taylor. Disrespect to Ash Taylor. Jamal Fogarty hasn't played more than 100 for the club,
Okay.
but Anthony Don
Oh,
certainly
the
has.
Don. Yeah, of
And he's
course.
the
Yeah.
one I thought maybe because he retired as well. There's a bit of a muddle with, I think, retirees where people maybe don't count it until the next season starts or whatever. But officially, come November 1st, he's no longer a Gold Coast Titans player, therefore a
Yeah.
former player. And that's where I thought maybe I thought maybe you'd chuck Don in there. But when you
But with myself going too, obviously that was because Jared Wallace, and then do you off by chance know Brian Kelly's amount of games? Because it would be relatively close, wouldn't it? Because he's played full this year and played pretty much full last year, and then obviously I don't know how many games he played in the past.
So I'll be honest, when you said Brian Kelly potentially, I quickly looked him up just to be sure. So
Okay.
I've actually got it right here in front of me.
Okay.
He's played 56 games.
Okay, so not even close. But in the same sense, you understand my reasoning for taking that wild guess. But if I didn't think of Brian Kelly, I would have said one Jared Wallace. I didn't do that. That's fine. I take the L there. But everyone listening, that's why the only person I could think about was Jared Wallace.
Well, this is, I don't know, a bit of a coincidence. It's a bit weird. Take something from this if you want to. It's not really anything, but Jared Wallace has played 103 games for the Titans. Brian Kelly has played 103 career NRL games. So they maybe that
Yeah, it is what it is.
you can say if you want, oh, I got that mixed up, but
I got that mixed up, guys. There you go. I got that mixed up.
don't listen to the thought process and everything we just went through.
Exactly right.
Just got it mixed up. Anyway, final question. Look, you're 8 out of 10 at the moment. You're already first place, but who has scored the most tries in Titans history?
All right. Well, let's go the process of elimination. Hey, it's close to say David Mead because you obviously would like me to go David Mead, or you'd like me. Actually, I don't even know how. I know it's obviously Donny, but it's obviously Donny. But I'm going through the players like Kevin Gordon. People forget about him. A lot of Titans fans might forget about him. David Mead there. Zillman could have been up there. Willie Zill, he could have been up there a little bit, maybe. But yeah, obviously Donny.
Yeah, and well, the main reason I put it in, this was like who was the Titans' first head coach. One of the very low balls I like to chuck in, but I thought considering my explanation for the last answer and how I thought maybe you would have said Don. If you had said Don and it turned out being wrong, I love the Don so much, as I'm sure you do. I thought we could at least respect him enough to not have him be an incorrect answer just in case. And we'll finish on a
Absolutely not.
and have it be the Donster. I think that's fair enough. And that leaves us, if you've been doing the math, people at home, 9 out of 10, we officially have a new leader. And I'd say a very high benchmark set. And I'd say you're probably the first person who's sort of made a bit of a leap either way. We've sort of been stuck in that middle section for the first 10 guests. For a while, we actually didn't have a score lower than 6.5 and a score higher than 7 for a while. For whatever reason, it was that close. And then we started moving a bit, 6 to 5, eventually 4. That 7, it was never budged until now. Blaze, I'm sure you're extremely proud. One of the proudest moments of your life.
Exactly right.
Nothing could really top it, really.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. You know, you could argue potentially 9.5 because I did say the only person to go over 100 who's currently there in Jared Wallace, and you could even argue that obviously Brian Kelly with the 103 games in total, but no, obviously 9 out of 10 is great, man. I was nervous going into it, but I guess when you do it, you're like when you know what when you know it. I guess from experience that you should never be really nervous because like I've experienced the majority of these games live. Like, if you had asked me like who's scored the most famous try in Titans history or whatnot, and I would have said David Meek because I was at that game. If you had said who kicked the winning field goal against the Tigers in 2016 down was it like no, it wasn't Leichhardt, it was Campbelltown, I would have said Jared Hayne. He said, "This is my house." Like I know, I was there. I was at all these games, so that's the point. Like when you've gone to the games and when you invest yourself so emotionally and financially into the game like this that I do with all different sports, I should never have been worried.
Yeah, well, what we like to do at the end of the quiz is go through and maybe have a look through and look for respectable guesses and sort of go through the wrong answers. However, there's only one, so we'll quickly look at it, and it's the how many current Titans players have played over 100 games for the club. And in your answer, I think it was very respectable in the sense that you said, I can't really think of anyone other than Jared Wallace, but I'm going to say 2. And Jared Wallace was indeed that player. So definitely respectable. But there's sort of 2 interesting ones I want to quickly look up before we finish. Now, the first one was how many final series have the Titans played in? I think you nearly overthought that one because I remember
Absolutely.
when you were going through your thought process at first, you were like, oh, it could be 2008, but I really don't think so, to going, oh, was it 2008? Like, obviously, cooler heads prevailed, I guess we could say, and you got the right answer. And in a weird way, sort of the opposite, who have the Titans beaten 6 times? Because I think at first you were pretty set on the Storm v Warriors, and then when you thought a bit more, the Rabbitohs did pop up, and we ended up getting the right answer. So sometimes taking that extra little bit of time to think can help, and I guess sometimes as well it can nearly cost you an answer. But at the end of the day, you got them both right. 9 out of 10. You are the current champion. Blaze, before we finish up, most importantly, I want you to plug all your social medias. I was going to try and do it myself. However, I know you've got multiple pages, and of course your YouTube's your main one, but please plug away.
Yeah, so obviously, BKR Sport on YouTube. That's where I do literally all sports. So rugby league, do live streams, plus I do vlogs and videos and tier rankings. Obviously, you've been on the channel before with the player rankings that we'll probably do again next year. So that's all different sports: NBA, NFL, baseball, NRL, rugby union, the lot, football, cricket, everything. Obviously, do the Rugby Down Under podcast on Spotify, Apple, and the likes, which is Rugby Union International. Literally everything from Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. Weekly, we speak for literally about 2 hours every single week. What else do I have? I've got obviously Instagram and whatnot. And BKR Travel is coming back, where I do traveling vlogs and whatnot. So I'll be going to Fiji in December through until March, and then when I get back, I do other things to obviously support local businesses. Hopefully, is what I'm intending to do, because we've all been through a pretty tough time with the pandemic. So that's the main goal there. So yeah, BKR Travel, BKR Sport, and the Rugby Down Under podcast.
Awesome, Blaze. Thanks for jumping on, and I want to thank you guys for watching / listening at home as well. See you next time.